Welcome back to Renew Your Life. And if you're new here, welcome. We're so glad you're tuning in. Today, we're diving into something I know many of you have either gone through or maybe are going through right now. It's that feeling that losing weight after you hit 40 becomes, well, just a fundamentally different challenge.
It really is a common experience.
Yeah,
And, it's completely understandable why so many people feel that way. You might be doing the same things that always work, maybe even trying harder, and just the results aren't the same.
exactly. Yeah, it can be so frustrating. You start wondering, is this even possible anymore, right? So our goal today is to really dig into why. Why does this shift happen? And maybe more importantly, give you some clarity and some practical things you can actually do. We want to move past that feeling of, oh, it's impossible, and really understand what's going on in our bodies.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. What are the main reasons it feels like, suddenly fighting this uphill battle with weight after 40, even if habits haven't changed that much? Well, there are actually a few key things happening, and they often interact with each other. One of the primary ones is a natural tendency for our metabolism to slow down a bit as we age. Think of metabolism as like the engine speed of your body, how fast it burns calories, just keeping you going, even at rest.
Right.
And that process, well, it naturally gets a little less efficient over time. It's interesting. Some studies suggest muscle loss can actually speed up, maybe like 1–2% per year after 40.
Wow, 1 to 2%. That sounds small, but I guess it adds up.
It really does. And it has a bigger impact on your daily calorie burn than most people realize.
So it's not just this super slow decline, it can pick up pace. And muscle mass is a big player in metabolism, isn't it?
Absolutely crucial. Muscle tissue is just, metabolically speaking, much more active than fat tissue. It burns more calories, plain and simple, even when you're just sitting there. As we get older, we naturally tend to lose some of that muscle. The term is sarcopenia.
Sarcopenia, okay.
And losing that muscle directly means a lower resting metabolic rate. So yeah, it becomes easier to gain weight and definitely harder to lose it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Less muscle, fewer calories burned automatically through the day. What else is shifting inside us around this age?
Hormones. Hormonal changes are another really significant factor. For women, obviously, there's the transition into menopause, which brings big hormonal shifts. But even in perimenopause, those years leading up, things can change noticeably.
Mm-hmm.
These shifts can unfortunately lead to more fat storage, often right around the belly area. And they can mess with your hunger and fullness cues too, making them less reliable. Things like leptin and ghrelin, the hormones controlling appetite, can get a bit out of whack.
Making you feel hungry even when maybe you shouldn't, or not feeling full.
Exactly. And it's not just women, is it? Men experience changes too.
That's right, men see changes too, although maybe more gradually.
Yes, generally more gradual. Men typically experience a slow decline in testosterone levels as they age. While it might not be as dramatic as menopause, that lower testosterone can still contribute to, well, increased body fat, some loss of muscle mass, lower energy, all of which can indirectly make weight management tougher.
So we've got metabolism slowing, muscle loss potentially accelerating, hormones shifting. What about stress? Because it really feels like the 40s can be a peak stress time for a lot of us.
You've hit on a really key point there. Stress often does ramp up in the 40s. Careers might be demanding, maybe raising kids, aging parents, financial pressures. It all adds up.
Yeah.
And when we're chronically stressed, our bodies pump out more cortisol.
Ah, cortisol, the stress hormone.
Right. And one of cortisol's jobs, unfortunately, is to encourage fat storage, especially again in that midsection area.
That definitely resonates. It feels like your body is almost working against you sometimes when you're stressed.
You can certainly feel that way.
And it's not just these internal biological shifts, right? Our actual day-to-day lives often look different too.
Exactly. I mean, think back. Maybe in your 20s or 30s, you had more time, maybe more energy for regular workouts or cooking healthy meals from scratch. Perhaps sleep was better.
Mm-hmm. Probably all of the above for many people.
As life gets busier, sometimes those healthy habits, they can slip. Maybe less consistent exercise, maybe relying more on convenience foods, sleep gets disrupted. These lifestyle changes accumulate over time and definitely add to the challenge.
It really does feel like our body's operating system gets a major update around 40. Even how we handle food can change, can't it?
That's a great analogy, actually.
Yay.
Yeah, there can be shifts in how our body responds to the food we eat. Digestion might slow down a bit. We can sometimes see changes in insulin sensitivity too,
Meaning?
meaning your cells might not respond as well to insulin, which is the hormone that helps shuttle sugar from your blood into your cells for energy.
Okay.
So if they're less sensitive, More sugar can hang around in the bloodstream and eventually potentially get stored as fat.
Got it. And cravings can change too.
Some people notice that, yeah, shifts in what they crave. So the bottom line is the same foods you ate in your 20s might just not have the same effect now.
Wow. Okay, so that paints a picture of the challenges. It sounds a bit daunting, but understanding it is the first step, right? It's not all doom and gloom.
Absolutely not. Understanding why is powerful. It lets us adjust our strategy. It's the foundation for figuring out what actually works now. And one of the most effective things we could focus on after 40 is actively building and holding on to muscle.
Which brings us straight back to strength training. It's not just about looking toned.
Not at all. It's fundamental. Strength training weights, resistance bands, even just body weight exercises done consistently directly counteracts that natural muscle loss, that sarcopenia we mentioned. Building or preserving muscle boosts your metabolism, improves your body composition, more muscle, less fat, and makes you a more efficient calorie-burning machine, even at rest.
So how often should we aim for?
Aiming for, say, 2 to 3 sessions a week, really focusing on the major muscle groups that can make a huge difference.
Okay, strength training is definitely key. What about what we're eating? There's so much conflicting advice out there. What's a priority?
Yeah, nutrition is huge. And after 40, prioritizing protein becomes really essential. Protein is critical for repairing and building muscle, especially if you're doing that strength training.
Right. They work together.
They really do. Plus, protein helps you feel fuller for longer. It increases satiety. That's a massive help for managing hunger and, controlling overall calorie intake without feeling deprived.
So aiming for some lean protein at each meal is a good goal.
It's a really effective strategy, yeah. Lean protein with every meal.
So the old advice of just doing hours and hours of cardio, maybe not the best approach anymore.
Well, cardio is still great. It's fantastic for your heart health, absolutely. But as a primary strategy for fat loss after 40, it's often not enough on its own. A more balanced approach usually works better, combining that strength training with other forms of mindful movement.
Like what?
Things like walking, yoga, swimming. Low-impact activities are often great. They keep you moving consistently. They're good for your joints, but they don't necessarily put the same kind of stress on the body as, say, really intense cardio all the time.
That makes sense. A balanced mix. Now, circling back to stress, because it seems so linked, what practical things can people do?
Yeah, managing stress is honestly paramount. It's not just a nice to have. Finding techniques that work for you is key. Maybe it's mindfulness meditation, even just 5 minutes, maybe deep breathing exercises, or just making time for hobbies, things you genuinely enjoy that help you unwind. Anything that helps lower those cortisol levels. And alongside that, we absolutely cannot forget sleep.
Ah, yes. Sleep, the foundation for everything.
It really is. Prioritizing sleep, aiming for consistency, creating a calming bedtime routine. It does wonders for hormone balance, helps regulate those hunger hormones we talked about, ghrelin and leptin.
It makes it easier to make good food choices the next day, too, I find.
Definitely. When you're sleep deprived, your body often craves quick energy, usually sugary or high-carb foods.
Okay, speaking of carbs, should we be bitching them entirely after 40? That seems to be a popular idea sometimes.
Not necessarily, no. It's not really about cutting out carbs completely, unless that's something specific you and your doctor decide on. It's more about being smarter with your choices. Focusing on complex carbohydrates.
What falls into that category?
Things like vegetables, lots of colorful veggies,
Yeah.
whole grains like quinoa, oats, brown rice, and legumes, so lentils, beans, chickpeas. These are digested more slowly. They give you sustained energy, help keep your blood sugar stable, keep you fuller. They're very different from, say, refined carbs like white bread or sugary snacks.
So quality over quantity, or rather quality over elimination.
Exactly. Smart carb choices, not necessarily no carbs.
Okay. And finally, what about the mindset? Because it sounds like this might be a slower process than maybe we were used to in our younger years.
Patience. Patience and a healthy dose of self-compassion are absolutely vital. Weight loss, or even just maintaining a healthy weight after 40, it's often not a straight line down. There will probably be ups and downs, maybe plateaus. It's so important to celebrate the other victories, not just the number on the scale. Feeling stronger from the strength training, having more energy, clothes fitting better. Those are huge wins.
Focusing on how you feel, not just the number.
Yes. And just being kind to yourself throughout the process. Understanding that your body is different now and working with it. That's really key for sticking with it long term and actually feeling good.
This has been so incredibly helpful, really framing it as working with the changes in our bodies, not fighting against them. That feels much more empowering.
That's the goal. It's about adapting, shifting the focus slightly,
Mhm.
really leaning into building and keeping muscle, managing that stress piece, nourishing your body well with things like protein and smart carbs, and just, listening to what your body's telling you.
It's definitely achievable, just requires a bit of different playbook.
Precisely. Progress over perfection, always.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Don't forget to follow us on all our socials to stay connected and inspired. Before you go, here's something to reflect on. Consider one small, manageable adjustment you can make this week based on our conversation, whether it's incorporating a brief strength-based exercise into your routine or exploring a new technique for managing stress. How might focusing on that single achievable step shift the way you approach your health journey right now?